What is up, YouTube? Des the Mess back once again. My pronouns are still they, she. We're continuing right where we left off almost 2 years ago. I can't believe I'm saying that still. 2 years ago, we finished the Ringmaster video. That was only about a half hour long, which surprised me because there's 16 tracks in that album. There was a lot to dissect. But this is going to be even shorter. There's only 6 tracks on this EP, so there's not a whole lot to cover, but we're going to get through it together. Let's dive right in. The album artwork shows a distorted face of a man screaming, which was taken from Moby's single Go, and has a silhouetted Ringmaster icon. I suspect this EP was meant to be released before the Ringmaster album, but was pushed back until afterwards in order to promote the Riddle Box instead. Some of the songs are more like they belong on one or the other album, so it can be jarring to notice the differences in production between each song and album. Starting right off with track number 1, The Dead Body Man. The announcer voice presents the terror wheel as the most horrifying, terrifying, mystifying ride available to the dead. This solidifies what we talked about in the last episode, that the Carnival of Carnage has brought everyone to the Dark Carnival afterlife. The host, Willoughby Rags, makes his first appearance as a character of the carnival. He introduces the first aspect of the terror wheel, which is the Dead Body Man. This song appears on Riddlebox as well, so it's an interesting choice here, but it doesn't sound out of place. The story of the Dead Body Man is that he is a mutant of sorts, born with a hatchet and a Juggalo face. So the doctor who birthed him throws him in fear, and he bounces around the hall like a cartoon character, specifically as a hockey puck. As an adult, or an undead person, he ends up driving a truck around, collecting corpses he finds in alleys and on dark streets so he can eat them. An interesting point that Jay makes in character as the Dead Body Man is that hunters who collect dead animal trophies aren't much different than him and what he's doing. Somewhere in that metaphor is probably an approaching vegetarianism argument, I'm sure, but ICP are not vegetarians or vegans. Track 2, Schizophrenic. Shaggy and Jay take turns talking about the paranoid delusions someone might experience when they live with schizophrenia. A lot of these examples are exaggerated and cartoonish, of course, but it does present an interesting point for me to talk about. Psychologically, schizophrenia can manifest in several different ways. Some people develop paranoid delusions, hallucinations, comatose-like states, and erratic or eccentric behaviors. Unmedicated, some people can become extremely dangerous to themselves or others. A common trope of schizophrenia in media is having 2 personalities, but that isn't usually the case, how it would be with something like dissociative identity disorder, or, in pop culture, multiple personality disorder. I'm glad that ICP knew enough not to have portrayed the condition in this way. Some might look at this song and think of it in jest, which is probably their intention, but that presents an ableism element to it. When I hear this song, I sympathize a bit more with people who experience schizophrenia and mental illnesses with similar traits such as schizoaffective disorder or schizoid personality. Because, untreated, they may lose all track of what's real and what isn't. This was a crude way to look at it, but I was pleasantly surprised they covered the type of symptoms they did. However, again, I can't look past the ableism, and I think Jay would want the same thing from me, as he stated in his own quote from an earlier episode. The Smog, track 3. The Smog was originally going to be called The Swarm, and be about a swarm of deadly insects. I think the final version turned out perfect as it is. Allegedly, it was planned for the Riddlebox album as well, alongside the Dead Body Man, but stayed on the terror wheel. This song paints an interesting picture of how pollution poisons the air, water, and our very lives. Shaggy opens up with his own verse about how the smog is making him insane to the point he loses touch with reality. Violent J comments on his own verse about oil spills all over the city streets and how it rains oil. The clouds form a devil's face. It must be a mirror image of the human race. This song is a pretty good critique of unregulated industrialization and how it poisons everything around it. The song breaks down into a new beat, and I want to read out Violent J's lyrics here because they pose a lot of interesting moral questions and situations. The whole time, "thoughts in my head" is repeated with the occasional interjection of a clown. Thoughts in my head of a dead body laying in his house for 3 weeks until his neighbors complain about the smell. Didn't he have anybody to know he was dead? Thoughts in my head of a serial killer in Iowa decided to kill himself before he actually killed someone else. Was that good? Thoughts in my head of an ocean of blood that when the bombs drop, it causes tidal waves. Tidal waves that paint the town red. Everybody's dead. Thoughts in my head of mothers and fathers who look at me and I can feel the hatred in their eyes, and it's cold, and children are nothing but them in the future. Accept it. Thoughts in my head of a woman sitting on her porch, bald-headed because of a disease she caught from the air. The air that we breathe. The air we breathe is fucked up. It's fucked up. Thoughts in my head of people want to kill me. But you can't kill me, because if you kill me, I'll be back to kill you. I've done it before, I'll do it again. Thoughts in my head of a 16-year-old little fucking punk sitting in his classroom drawing a gang sign on a folder in his Birmingham Hills. What the fuck would you know about love? Thoughts in my head of people despise me and hate me and don't know me. I hate you too, so it's all good. It's all good. Thoughts in my head of a society that is so fucked up and so evil that if somebody prays, they get made fun of and laughed at. But it's not going to be funny. They'll be laughing when the bombs drop and the town is red. This section shows that Violent J is very socially aware at this point in 1994, and it makes The Smog, in my opinion, a proper critique of some of the major problems of capitalism, how its industries poison the earth and its people, how society is geared towards intolerance rather than acceptance, and how generationally we owe it to the next one to do better than the last one. Next track is Out. This song is pretty similar to Guts on the Ceiling in that it's mostly a horrorcore story. Violent J is on an adventure of sorts. He exaggerates about a time when he was much younger, where he made a trip to the store to get food for him and his younger brother. In his version of the city, zombies walk about and giant rats roam around because of the toxic pollution. This seems to be a theme of this EP. He loses some limbs from various attacks, and when he finally makes it to the store, it's closed. He breaks in, takes some milk, bread, and Faygo, the essentials, and hops out, only to have the store owner approach him with a shotgun, blowing his head off. This didn't stop him, however, as he is able to roll back to his house undeterred. When he gets there, his brother is mad that he forgot the milk, so he concedes and decides to go back out. I Stuck Her With My Wang. This song is obviously problematic. Interestingly, it's just Shaggy rapping. He's got some lines that are abusive, and it's juxtaposed with some otherwise cartoonish sexual mishaps, like making a girl deaf by ejaculating in her ear. Shaggy also mentions that the Ringmaster brewed him a love potion, which I find interesting. The Ringmaster is an icon of the carnival who intends to lead people astray. So this makes me consider that Shaggy, in character, was led astray to treat women this way, as he says, while the carnival is in town. It's definitely not a song that could be considered feminist, but I do like it. At the end, Jay has an intro skit about how he'll sleep with all sorts of bitches, including fat bitches, skinny bitches, ugly bitches, and describes other women with various body types. Look up the lyrics if you want. It's too much for me to want to repeat. Although I seriously doubt you're going to be too offended if you're listening to me yap about it in the first place. Last track, Amy's in the Attic. In this song, Jay recounts a fictional situation where, as a kid, he accidentally killed his childhood best friend Amy and decides to hide her in his attic in shame. In the second verse, he begins to become increasingly haunted by her, or the delusion he's having about her. Is she actually a ghost, causing him to lose his mind, or has he already lost it? In the third pre-chorus, before the third verse, that is, he begins to question if she isn't even dead. In the verse, he begins to delude himself that he never knew her, but he sees her ghost in his hallway and decides to check the attic. Should I walk the terror stairs and see if all my terror fares? Yes. The fourth pre-chorus section ends, then their chorus skit plays before the pre-chorus is repeated until the song fades into its final line. Your seat awaits you on the terror wheel. A hidden track follows where they give out the secret password, a phone number to call, that revealed the face of the third Joker's card, the riddle box. Considering the length of a few of the tracks on this EP, 7+ minutes, 9+ minutes, my analysis is pretty short and sweet. It swings the pendulum between problematic elements and a genuine critique of the societal conditions Jay and Shaggy are expressing through their typically cartoonish hyperbole. If you're a fan of classic horrorcore music, this EP hits in the right places, and if you're not, you're probably just going to hate it. It's not for everyone. I'm sure it was a good way to satiate fans in 1994 who were awaiting the next release. That's all I got for this one. Like I said, short and sweet, not a whole lot to tell. My critiques were pretty simple, and so were the lyrics. But that's ICP for you. Gotta love them. If you're following along, come back in another 2 weeks and find the next episode in this series. And if you're following my other series about Alcoholics Anonymous, that episode will be next week. So, rotating series every other week and weeks in between. Anyway, that's all for me. Des the Mess, signing out. Whoop whoop.